What's up, everybody? It's your guy Q, the movie collector here again, back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to do something a little different today. So, I'm going to call this little segment Movies I Love. And I wanted to make this one episode truly special. Now, it's not my favorite movie of all time, but it's one of my favorites. So, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to my channel because I would definitely appreciate that. And Movies I Love, episode one. So this film, and I'll start off with a little backstory to my history on it. So back in the late 90s, I want to say either late 90s or early 2000s, I can't remember. There was a video compilation that had come out that was called Boogeyman, the horror compilation. It was sort of like a first of its kind. It was like a horror mixtape of horror icons such as Leatherface, Chucky, Jason, Freddy. Who else was on there? Jen from the Wishmaster. I'm trying to think who else was on there. It was a long list of characters on there. But there was one that stood out from the rest of them because, again, prior to me actually seeing this tape, in the early 90s, I remember as a kid because I had really cool parents. They would allow me to stay up late. So I would stay up late watching horror movies that would come on late. And I remember this movie. I know what it is now, by the way, and I'll get to that later. I remember watching this movie where this kid is being chased around this mausoleum, and there's like the silver orb that just goes flying everywhere, and it was one of those fondest memories because I remember being creeped out at the very end where this guy just jumps out of nowhere and snatches the boy through the window, but yeah. So when I got this horror compilation, I was like, wait a minute. When it got to that segment of it, I was like, wait a minute, the silver orbs. I remember that. And come to find out that movie was Phantasm. So Phantasm is very near and dear to my heart. It spawned on for me watching that tape, which by the way, if you guys don't know, I know my guy Christian from over at Planet CHH has done an in-depth video on this horror compilation, but if you look it up, I think you can still purchase it on eBay. I'm not sure. But for me, at that time period, that introduced me to a lot of stuff I didn't even know about. It introduced me to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which at that point, the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre that I knew of was The Next Generation with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. I can't talk. You know what I'm trying to say. But that's the only one I remembered at that point. But so the story goes on. I get highly intrigued watching this one clip, and it was from the original Phantasm. So I was so intrigued by it that I had saved up a little bit of money, and I remember calling around to a few video shops. Just think about it, young teen Q calling around at video shops all over the place. And I saved up a little bit of money, and I remember asking my mom, could we go to the mall so I could go in the Suncoast? To everyone that knows about the mall culture in Suncoast. If you know, you know. But we went to the mall, and I saw it sitting up there on the shelf. I remember as if it was yesterday. It was a VHS. It had on there, it had the tall man on the front of it. It said Phantasm in bold red letters. And it was an MGM Classics release. And dude, I played that tape like crazy because I enjoyed it so much. One of the things I love so much about that film is that the fact, again, this is young teenage Q watching this movie. And the movie pretty much is about Jody and his younger brother Mike. His younger brother Mike goes up to the mausoleum while Jody watches his friend's funeral, and he starts poking around, trying to see what's going on because he saw the tall man pick up a casket by himself after the funeral was over and load it up into a hearse. And if you guys have ever been a pallbearer and picked up a casket, those suckers are heavy. So just seeing him pick it up was pretty much like a shocker. So he tried to tell his brother that his brother didn't believe him. He goes up there by himself. He's wandering through the mausoleum. And next thing you know, this one of the tall man henchmen grabs him up, and the orb comes flying around. It's like, wait a minute, there's that silver orb. So it flies around. It drills dude in the head. Blood starts shooting everywhere. Mike tries to escape, and then next thing you know, he's got these little the dwarves coming after him, and the movie spans off from there, man. It's one of those movies where it's like a very it was like a fantasy driven horror film. Not like fantasy as in like Dungeons and Dragons, but it had its own vibe. And when I was looking into it more and more, I found out that Phantasm was a double feature along with John Carpenter's Halloween in the Drive-In. So just imagine being there in the late 70s, going to a drive-in and catching a double feature. You watching Halloween night, John Carpenter's Halloween, and then right after it, they show Phantasm. That had to be an awesome experience. So that started my whole little journey. And I remember at the time, too, I ended up getting Phantasm 2. I remember the third one was out of print on VHS, so it was super expensive to get on eBay. And then eventually they came out with the fourth one, which was Oblivion, and then eventually the fifth one, which was Ravager. The one thing I love about this franchise the most is that it maintains the same playmakers. I mean, you've got the same actors playing in it. You've got Angus Scrimm playing as the tall man. You've got Mike Baldwin, the third, I think he's third. And he's not associated with the other Baldwins, but yeah. You got him playing as Mike. You've got I forgot what his name was, but you got the older guy playing as Jody. Then you got Reggie Bannister, the legendary Reggie Bannister, playing as the kick-ass ice cream parlor Reggie. Which he's not doing too well right now. But yeah, he was funny in all of the movies. But yeah, I've owned Phantasm in a plethora of different kinds of ways. I've owned all the Well-Go USAs that they came out with. It. Unfortunately, I don't have those anymore. I own I'm trying to see if it's up here. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm looking at it. I've got the Arrow collection of Phantasm, but I picked this up, I picked this up at Walmart about 2 years ago, and it was actually on sale. And it comes with all 5 movies. Now, if you ever get this and you don't luck out with getting the old Well-Go USA ones, this one actually has the first and the second one here. That's the 4K scans in this collection, which they look phenomenal. The ones in the Arrow collection, they're not 4K scans, but they still look good. If you want to get that old timey look to it. But I got the Arrow set because, you know, I wanted to have those special features I could go back through and watch again, you know. Everyone always says the first 2 are the best in the series. Me personally, because I consider myself a fan with a PH, I'm a fan of all of them. I'm a huge fan of all the Phantasm films. And I know this may be a controversial take, but I like the third one more than the second one, just because, you know, as much as I like James LaGrosse and how he portrayed Mike in the second film, Mike Baldwin is my favorite Mike. So when he returned to play as Mike in the third movie, thank you, Universal, for not actually hiring the right guy in the second film. But anyway, when he came back in the third one, man, I was overjoyed. And then they brought back Jody in the third one. So I'm getting into a whole other spiel. But I'm saying all this to say that Phantasm is and will always be one of my favorite movies, and also one of my favorite franchises of all time. Don Coscarelli is the mastermind behind this. He's created other films such as the Love It or Hate It, Bubba Hotep. I never watched it. He did a few, I think he did maybe 1 or 2 episodes in that whole Masters of Horror series they used to show back in the day. But Don Coscarelli, man, I'm glad he made this. He also did what was the name of that? He did Beastmaster before this. He did Kenny and Company. Just so many movies, but this was my favorite. This is my favorite franchise that he ever made. So if you've never heard of Phantasm, if you've never seen it, I highly, highly suggest you check it out. I'm telling you, even though this movie was made in the late 70s, the things they were able to do on a lower budget will blow your mind. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy the first iteration of movies I love. And make sure, please, once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I definitely do appreciate it if you will like, comment, and subscribe to my page. Like I said, truly appreciate all the love I've been getting so far. And I'm going to continue thanking everyone that likes my stuff. So, but until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.